This message is brought to you by the Capital One Venture X card. Venture X offers the premium benefits you expect, like a $300 annual Capital One travel credit for less than you expect. Elevate your earn with unlimited double miles on every purchase, bringing you one step closer to your next dream destination. Plus, enjoy access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. The Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details. This message is brought to you by the Capital One Venture X card. Venture X offers the premium benefits you expect, like a $300 annual Capital One travel credit for less than you expect. Elevate your earn with unlimited double miles on every purchase, bringing you one step closer to your next dream destination. Plus, enjoy access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. The Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is Talkin' Rock. Talkin' Rock. Your backstage pass to some of your favorite rock artists. Here's your host, Meltdown.
What a great lineup for a mediocre podcast. Hey, it's Meltdown. Thanks so much for checking out Talkin' Rock with Gene Simmons, Rachel Bolan, Johnny Franck from Bilmuri. We got a lot to get to today. First, we'll just start with Gene Simmons. Earlier today, as I record this, he was opening up the grand opening of the brand new Rock Brews restaurant, which is in downtown Royal Oak, and he was there to cut the ribbon. Just a cast of hundreds were in the bar. I mean, it's not a huge place, but the place was jam-packed as Gene cut the ribbon, said a few words. Some of the dignitaries were there as well, and I was fortunate enough to get a few minutes with Gene. And, yeah, talking to Gene, a little bit like herding cats. He was distracted, and he brought in one of the owners, and we talked about the 30th anniversary of that first show when they put the makeup back on and played at Tiger Stadium. I had a couple questions from some Detroit rock icons, which he may or may not have answered, but let's let you listen to myself with the demon, Gene Simmons, to kick off this episode. It's Meltdown here discussing microphones and microphone sizes with Gene Simmons. And by the way, he did this.
Size doesn't count.
Oh, that's right. Welcome here to the latest Rock Brews. Congratulations, man.
I have little or nothing to do with it. I just work here. And by the way, I get a lot of attention, and it's unfair. Tony, come here. Danny.
Okay, Danny here. There you go.
Why does Tony always say my name first? Okay.
All right. You're on the riff interview, Danny. Here you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this.
There we go.
So this is Danny, not Tony. And we could talk all we want till we're blue in the face how we're committed to Rock Brews and Royal Oaks and the folks who are going to be getting their first jobs here, and how craft beers are local breweries by local brewmasters, and fresh vegetables and fresh meat coming location-wise. You're not talking about refrigerator trains where the food lasts for weeks and coming here. No, because your first experience comes with the people that go in. Now, this is the best. Danny and his brother are the best things that can happen to this community, because they're building a park. That's not necessarily a business area. It's free to the local community right there. They're doing it now because they care about the community. They're hiring local folks. It's the best thing. And instead of yapping my way, you should talk. You should talk to Danny.
Yeah, no, I've already talked to Danny.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. Were you in a band for decades, spitting blood, sticking the tongue out? That wasn't you? Okay. All right. Were you there 30 years ago, June 26, 1996, when Kiss put their makeup back on for the first time? What were your thoughts about that going into it? And since then, what were your thoughts about that?
It was good.
30 years ago that happened in June.
Yeah, and don't I look good? Damn. Where's Tony?
Tony, I'm gonna go find him right away, Jay. Yeah. I'll get him.
You're a powerful and attractive man.
Thank you, sir.
So what did you think going into that show 30 years ago, putting the makeup back on for the first time, original members, and what do you think looking back on it?
Some of it was initially like you're on your best behavior when you get back together with your ex. And then familiarity breeds contempt. I'd like to say that it was all wonderful and anything, but history tends to repeat itself. I couldn't wait to restart the relationship with the two guys that helped us make everything possible. But you got to be on top of your game. You can't go out there and be in the Olympics and do the bad stuff, because the 50,000 folks who came to see you at the concert had to work hard for their tickets. So this idea that you can get up there and not do the best you can, and I'm trying to use nice language, is unacceptable.
Well, it was great that you guys were all honored at the Kennedy Centers last year. That was awesome. How was that experience?
Well, it was emotionally uplifting, the American dream and everything. And I'm sweating bullets because you're beside me and you're so handsome.
And here comes Tony with a fan.
But the saddest part was, even though Ace found out, because the White House called, he found out about the awards and he couldn't believe it. He was looking forward to it. But I got to tell you, the saddest part is he just didn't make it. He passed away before the Kennedy Center, and that's the saddest part.
I got a couple of questions from some Detroit rock icons. Are you ready? First of all, Kid Rock said he wanted to say hello. He says you're a fan and a friend, and he wanted to say hello. Ted Nugent, I had to write this down because Ted says a little bit long.
You know these guys?
Yeah, Ted said, have him tell you about when he hired me for so many years and so many tours, because we share the same belief in hard rock and music and full entertainment showmanship. I guess it's a comment, actually, right?
Well, I think it goes deeper, that everything we do, the music we play, the instruments we play, everything was invented here in America. It comes originally from black music. Mm-hmm. Blues, jazz, hip-hop, rock and roll, it all comes from America. And it's something we take for granted. The rest of the world, name a French rock band.
Right, yeah, you can't do it right.
Name one, yeah. Name a famous Japanese rock band. Go ahead.
Loudness.
Famous.
I know.
I produced Easy O, but what's the second song off the first record? You have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah,
no
of course.
Idea.
Yeah.
None.
America gave pop culture, American pop culture rules the planet. So you can't talk about the music or Royal Oaks or Detroit without talking about America. Mm-hmm. The red, white, and blue culture dominates the planet. And that means our movies, our culture, our style, because there's a profound difference between, don't blow yourself, blow me.
Sorry,
What the hell? You can move closer. All of a sudden the cool stopped and she's happy.
I'm sorry.
Good Lord, you hate me.
I don't. I swear.
All right, Gene, one more question from
Wait, I'm kind
Okay,
of
all right.
I'm kind of a big deal. But now I forgot what I was going to talk about.
Well, I got one more question from a Detroit rock icon. Are you ready?
Wow.
John 5 wants to know.
What is that called when somebody, daisy chain?
Yeah, there you go. John 5 wants to know your favorite outfit on stage from 1974 through 1983.
I like dressing up like him.
Yeah, like John?
Yeah. How does he dress up?
I don't know. Have you been to his museum?
Has he been to mine?
I think he has.
It's at the Rio Hotel.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he has. Come on now.
Yeah.
Well, Gene, thanks so much for your time.
I've actually spoken to John 5's cousin, John 4.
Okay. All right. Gene Simmons here, Rock Brews in Detroit and Royal Oak with 101 WRIF. Thank you so much.
You don't have to validate Royal Oaks with any other city. This is as cool as it gets. I know Detroit's over there. You come to Royal Oaks and find out how special this is. And as always, you can go to rockandbrews.com.
Gene Simmons to kick off this episode of Talkin' Rock. Now we switch gears to a bass player from a different band, talking about Skid Row, and that's Rachel Bolan. He's got his new record dropping coming up in June. It's called Gargoyle of the Garden State. Lots of celebrity collabs on there with the likes of Corey Taylor, Danko Jones, and a ton more. I asked him, how's it going in the search for the next singer of Skid Row? We talk about Kiss, we talk about bands, and just banter. It's Rachel Bolan up next. Hey, Rachel, good to see you, man. How are you?
Doing well, man. Excited. A lot of good stuff going on.
That's awesome. I thought I would dress for the occasion. I've got I don't know if you can see this, my Detroit Kiss shirt on, you see?
Love it. I love it. I got a Yankees version of that in the house somewhere.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. But anyways, I'm going to see Gene coming up here on Thursday. So maybe when we wrap this up, you'll have to give me a question for Gene.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because the brand new Rock Brews opened up here in the Motor City, and so he's going to officially cut the ribbon coming up this week. So.
Oh, nice.
Have you been to any of those?
Yeah, there used to be one in LAX. It's not there anymore for some reason, but I've been to a few, and we actually did a pop-up show at one somewhere in California in the casino somewhere. They asked us to do a show at it, and it was just like people were sitting around eating. All of a sudden, Skid Row busted out on stage, and we start playing. We actually did 2 shows there. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, man.
You were totally plugged in?
Oh yeah, like we scared the hell out of everybody. Like we were just full on, man, on a tiny stage. It was fun. I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's get into it, man. Gargoyle of the Garden State. I was telling you the other day, I called myself, what did I say? The miscreant of the Mitten State. if I were to put out a new record. But anyways, when did this solo project start percolating? How long has this been in the works?
Well, I've had some of these songs. You know, I write just about every day just to write, and a lot of stuff wasn't right for Skid Row. But when I before I moved back to Jersey, I lived down in Tennessee. I lived right down the street from one of my best friends, Nick Raskulinix, and we were. I'm sure there was a few drinks involved, but I was like, man, I should now that like I'm gonna have downtime. I should see if the label is interested in doing a solo record. He's like, I want to produce it. And I was like, yeah, of course, you know. So as it happened, the label was interested in me doing it. So what kind of started from a conversation with a friend ended up coming to fruition, you know what I mean? And it's been a lot of fun doing it. And just, I mean, except for the drums and some of my friends that came in to play certain parts, it was just Nick and I in the studio. And so we laughed a lot. You know, it's really cool to do some stuff like this with someone you're really close to.
Now, so since you're so close to Nick, and I didn't realize that. I mean, obviously down in Tennessee, a lot of guys do know him, do work with him in the rock world. But did you play on anybody else's stuff? Maybe stuff we've heard of, or maybe stuff that you kind of just went in and just played on in secret?
Through Nick?
Yeah, through any of his projects. Yeah.
No, no, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, all the stuff he's doing, they have bass players.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
All right, there you go. I didn't know if maybe I do have a friend of mine who's played drums on some stuff, and he's not allowed to talk about it. It's, songs you've heard and stuff where the drummer was, he couldn't make it.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Stuff like that. I didn't know if anything like that had happened, but
no.
You talk about all the guests and stuff. Was there anybody that you couldn't get to play on this?
There were a couple, and it had to do some just they weren't interested in it. You know what I mean? One guy wasn't interested in it, which is fine. It was a long shot anyway. But then some people, yes, I'm in, as long as it's not in these months because I'll be on tour, and that it would fall, and it's just like, damn, but it's cool. I knew that was going to be a problem. Like logistics were going to come into play with a lot of stuff, but I got again, I called on friends first, Corey, Taylor sang a song, Steve Conti sang a song, Danko, on the first single, we sang a song together. And then I called Nuno. I was like, dude, do you want to play solo on the record? He's like, hell yeah. And Rob Hammersmith played the drums through the whole thing, and then Scotty and Snake each did a solo on a couple songs, and I hope I'm not missing anybody. And then my friends Ryan Cook and Paul Taylor did a lot of backup with me, and another friend of mine, Matt Farley from the Rock and Roll Chef down in Nashville, he came in and sang some harmonies and stuff. So it was. Oh, and Damon Johnson. How could I forget that? Damon Johnson played like 5 solos on there and just lit things up. And if you don't know Damon, then you live under a rock. His brother Kane, he's been in Skinner for I don't even know how long, for I'm probably almost, but it was so cool to have all my friends there and being a part of it. And it just meant a lot to me as a bro. And then musically, it like when you see an idea come to life, it's a special thing.
Yeah, I always wonder whenever you have outside influences come in to help you. Somebody explained this to me, or somebody said this to me one time. They're going, I always had this fear, like when I got their vocals or I got their guitars or whatever it was, that I wouldn't like it. Do you ever have that fear, or did you just go, you know what, Nuno's playing it, and I don't care if I like it or not. It's Nuno, it's going on the record or something like that?
Well, when I was thinking that I was going to ask friends to play stuff on it, I kind of knew which songs that fit them the best. And, being that, like, all these people that I talked about, I'm really good friends with. So I knew, like, their style would fit perfectly to the song. And like the song that Corey sang on, we like the same type of stuff. We have the same punk rock background as far as taste in music. And I'm like, man, I'm kind of hearing a Sham 69 thing, like Borstal Break. I was like, got it. Send me the lyrics, send me the song. And he came in, and I think he sang through it once to get a level, and then another time, and then he doubled it. And we talked about punk rock for the next 2 hours. It was great.
I've heard he can bust stuff out pretty quick.
Yeah, I flew out to Vegas to make it, so it was easy on him, and it was great. It was so much fun just to do that kind of stuff. And then Danko, actually, I wasn't there for Danko to record, but he recorded it up in Toronto and sent it to me. And he's like, how's this? I was like, dude, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So, it's great. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course, being Canadian and whatnot up there in Toronto. But yeah, that song too, At War with Myself, it's a little bit more punk rockish, and I know that's like in your past, and that's kind of like part of your DNA. So, what are some of the flavors of the rest of the record?
There's a lot of stuff like that, but like it was everything that really influenced me as a kid. Like punk rock and like the Brit pop back then. When in the 70s and like glam and hard rock, but everything is pretty high energy on the record. There's one song that Steve Conte sang that's the only song that kind of slows things down, but it still fits in that vein and kind of Psych Furs type of thing, and his voice was perfect for it. It just, but the whole album as a body of work it's pretty high RPM.
Now, you stated that you started this with Nick down. You started it when you still lived in Nashville. Is that correct? Is that where the seeds were sown?
That's when we talked about it, and we talked about it and talked about it more. I moved back to Jersey, and I get the solo deal. I'm like, hey, I'm coming down to Nashville. So just got a hotel, and I drove down there with about 12 guitars in my car or my Explorer, and drove down there and met Rob. And Rob is just a monster. Like, he just came in, he knocked out 11 songs in about 2.5 days, and it was just, and that's
Rob, your drummer,
Hammersmith, Skid Row, and so he just absolutely crushed it, as I knew he would, because again, we grew up listening to the same type of music and still love this type of music like that. And he just came in and just stomped it, man. It was great.
Now, I just talked with Zachy Vengeance from Avenged Sevenfold, who just dropped his solo record back a couple weeks, actually last week, and he went by his real name, and he told me he went by his real name because the songs were so personal to him, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Obviously, you said these songs were personal to you. I think I read something about that as well. Where does like the impetus of these songs come from, and how do you know if it's not a song that fits with Skid Row? Is it just a feeling, just a vibe?
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a vibe, because we have our big rock riffs, and that's kind of what our career was made on. And a lot of this stuff is just chugging away or just flailing away, where, a guy like me could play the guitar on it, and actually, I should say anybody, but I'm fortunate enough to be with Skid Row in a band with two of the best rock guitar players, without hands down, to me, the best rock duo guitar players that there is, because they know what each other are thinking and shit. So it just wasn't. It wouldn't. They're too good to play my stuff. Let's put it that way. So, and they have their own style, and I have my own style of playing guitar. So that's why I play guitar instead of having other people come in and do it, because I knew what I was thinking, and it just worked out. And being in the studio like that was, I had never, I do demos like that all the time, and then I bring it to those guys when I do Skid Row stuff. I'll bring it to those guys, and then they turn it into their own style, where this just stayed my style. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I do something, and Nick sometimes would go, and I'd be like, no good. He's like, try something else. And I do something else. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. And then I feel good about it,
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of Skid Row, are you guys working on new stuff, or do you wait till you get a singer, or where's that stand right now?
We're still looking. We're taking our time, but Snake and I do get together and write. We just wrote a little bit today, as a matter of fact. He just left about 10 minutes ago. So yeah, we just keep the machine rolling, and when we find someone, we'll find someone. But we're not gonna rush it. We've got we did this promotion through Sweetwater, and probably have listened to about 300 submissions at this point, and there's some really good stuff on there, and we've auditioned people outside of that as well that were really good, so it's a long process, and we were prepared for it, but now I got stuff to do. I got this solo record.
That's right. Yeah. Are you going to tour on that?
That's the plan. I would like to. We'll see what comes up. It would be great to jump on a really cool tour with bands that I dig, and I have a drummer. I got to put the rest of the band together. Rob is in for the long haul. So I want to get people that I know, that I respect, and that I like their playing, and that fits my music, but they're all in bands. So as much as they want to do it, they're like, oh, I'm on tour from now until, the middle of 27 type of thing. So it's one of those deals. But if we do shows, then I'm gonna have guys that whose playing I really love.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's funny because I have seen a lot of people posting their audition tapes online, which I'm sure you've seen as well. And I can't remember if I was talking to you guys or who I was talking to. I interview a lot of people, but someone made this point to me one time that they didn't want to bring in a singer or guitar player, whatever it was, with a lot of baggage. And by baggage, I mean a huge history, because then the fans would want to hear all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Do you run across that? Is that like something that goes on in the back of your head when you're looking for a singer? I mean, let's just say, for example, you had Lizzie Hale. I've heard, people would want to hear Hailstorm stuff, but obviously, it's just kind of a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think people would want to hear, like, wow, what would it sound like for Skid Row to play a Hailstorm song, But yeah, that's the one thing about bringing in someone well known. But I guarantee whoever we get will be well known soon as he's in the band.
Right. I think I might have been talking to somebody in Judas Priest. I think that's what it was. That when Rob left the band, they didn't want to bring in somebody that had a lot of history to him. Or so. I can't remember. I could be wrong, but I always thought that was kind of interesting. When Dio joined Black Sabbath, obviously, he had a lot of history. Yeah.
I may get killed for saying this, but that's when I really became a Sabbath fan. Like, I started there and worked my way backwards. You know what I mean? I loved Ozzy's solo stuff. Absolutely loved it. But I really became a Sabbath fan when Dio joined the band, because I just loved his voice and his whole thing. He's just like his aggression and stuff,
Did you ever get a chance to meet him? He was one of the nicest guys I ever met.
Yeah, I went to racing school with him, actually.
Really?
So, yeah, years, I guess. It must have been 89 or 90. I got invited to at the time it was Paul Newman did a charity race, but you had to go to school and like learn how to race. And at that point I wasn't racing as I did later on in years. But so I went to Lime Rock, Connecticut, and they're like, oh, there's two more. I'm using finger quotes, VIPs coming. And I'm like, well, who is it? They're like, there's a guy named Kurt Smith. I'm like, from Tears for Fears? And they're like, yeah, that's him. And I'm like, awesome, because I love Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
And they go, and Ronnie, I go, yeah, Ronnie James Dio, right? And they go, yeah, that's it. I was like, whoa, cool. So I'm sitting in the back of a BMW with the helmets on, and we're on the skid pad, and we each take turns just getting into like the worst spins.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, we're hitting our helmets against each other and shit because we're in the back seat. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this with Ronnie James Dio. This is the best.
That's a great story. And so then would you see him, years later? And, did you tell him that you became a Sabbath fan through his stuff?
I think I told him that weekend because we spent the whole weekend together, and he was actually on tour and had some days off. So their tour bus was parked in front of the hotel and we all piled on it. His crew, the band, I think Simon Wright was playing drums at the time. I guess the tour manager, and then Kurt Smith and I jumped on their tour bus and we went to some Indian restaurant and it was a bunch of us and we're just chugging beers. It was fun. I was like, man, I gotta tell you got me into Sabbath. And he was like, really? I'm like, yeah, he was so nice.
The nicest, yeah, and of course, being a bass guy and whatnot. I think that's some of Geezer's best stuff, especially like on Heaven and Hell and stuff. That's just my opinion. Not being a bass guy.
yeah. He's it's that like Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules. Those albums kick ass, man. I will put them up against any heavy metal record, any of them.
Totally. So in the mid '70s, we talked about this before with you and Snake, but in the mid '70s, was Kiss your first concert?
Yep.
Okay, and then where does it go from Kiss? Because I was kind of like the same thing. Like Ozzy was my first concert in '84. I'm a few years younger than you, not much, but Ozzy was my first concert. So where do you go from Kiss? And you say you discovered Black Sabbath in 1980 or thereabouts. I suppose maybe a little bit after.
Yeah, it was after that. But say I was a punk rock kid, so I went I saw Kiss at the Philadelphia Spectrum. And then where did I first see that? I think Ramones were playing Six Flags in Jackson, New Jersey. And I saw them a couple summers later. And I was just like, wow, it was life changing. It was during the day. And I was like, these guys are in their leathers during the day, just beating down on them. And then I saw Joe Jackson the next week. And these are all like a bunch of my first, like as far as different, I saw Kiss a lot, right? Like every tour they came around, but I didn't get to see the Ramones a lot because I was too young to get into venues with bars. And my mom was not going to let me go to City Gardens in Trenton because it's just, wow. So I had to wait for them to play the outdoor arena in Six Flags. But I kept saying that. Oh, and then I'd go see AC/DC. I saw them at the Spectrum, and Fastway opened. And, then I finally saw Judas Priest and Iron Maiden opened. And when I saw Kiss on the Dynasty tour, Judas Priest opened for them.
Wow.
And then I saw Priest later during, what's the record with Electric Eye?
Oh, Screaming
for Vengeance.
Yeah,
I saw that tour and Iron Maiden was opening. And so it just went from there. Saw Rush, What
do you think of Rush reforming? You got to be a huge fan, right?
I'm a fan of Rush. I wouldn't say like I'm as big a fan of Rush as I am of like Kiss and Ramones and stuff, but I love a lot of Rush stuff and I think it's great. Like I read stuff online and I'm just like, I get what she's going through. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, there's not the criticism directed at me. Well, to a certain point, yeah. But like, she's got balls, man. And I love it. I think it's great. And everybody wants to hear Rush, man. I see people, they should retire and all this stuff. It's like, you know what I mean? It's who are you to tell anyone to stop? Right. And obviously very unfortunate. And Neil was the drummer's drummer, you know? but she's great. She's like, they wouldn't have got her if she couldn't do what Neil does, and I think it's just really great. I grew up in a house with two sisters and my mom, who very empowered, you know what I mean? So to see her go out and just put herself in this position, which is she's gonna get a lot of criticism unfairly, and she's just like, I don't care. Yeah. I wake up every day and rush. You know what I mean? So everyone could just, screw.
Well, it's funny because I think I might have just seen something about that recently where, Geddy and them, once again, they could have picked a drummer with this huge history, but they decided to go with somebody that wasn't so well known.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I think it's great that they did that. And like I said, I think the fact that a woman is now taking that spot, I think is awesome for any girl that wants to be in a rock and roll band and be a drummer. Like, wow.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a bigger spotlight on someone to inspire you than her, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's great. I think everything about it is awesome.
No, that's true. I've seen some pretty wild female drummers. Haley, that was with Pop Evil, for example. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone hit harder than her. It's like,
Yeah.
Girls like that.
Who, I can't remember her name, but the drummer for Skillet.
Oh, yeah, Jen Ledger.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I went to see them. Hammersmith and I went to see them at a festival in North Carolina when I still lived in Atlanta. And I look at him, I go, that drum riser is going to fall because she's just bashing and it's all, and she's singing and yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, she's great. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll wrap things up here. Of course, the Gargoyle of the Garden State comes out on June 12th. The first single is out, like we were just talking about, At War with Myself. And I wanted you to, so I'm talking to Gene Simmons on Thursday. What you've met him several times or a few times or what?
Yeah, several.
You guys, did you guys tour with them back in? I'm trying to recall.
We are the only band in history to do both of their farewell tours.
Oh, okay.
Because we did the one in 2000, and then we toured with them on the end of the road tour through a chunk of Europe in 22, I want to say. No, I'm sorry, not 22, 24 or 20, end of 23. I forget when it was, but I had said that to Paul. I said, do you realize we're the only band that did both your farewell tours? And he goes, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's going to be, I don't know if you even tried to get to this, but it's going to be at the end of June, I think June 26th, it's going to be the 30th anniversary of when they played Tiger Stadium right here, when they put the makeup back on and they played for the first time with all four original members. Yeah.
That was 30 years. Wow.
1996.
Wow.
I don't know if you tried to make it out here for that. I know.
I didn't. Wow. 30 years already. I cannot believe that.
Yeah. Remember they went on MTV and they played and they're like, oh, this is pretty good. Let's go on tour.
Yeah. They did Unplugged, right?
Yeah. And then they played here. And so 30 years. But what should I ask Gene? I mean, you've probably had a chance to talk to him a lot. So
what should you ask Gene? Ask him what type of strings he uses. I'm really curious if he even knows.
Here we go. Gear questions. I don't know anything about gear.
I'm really curious if he even knows. Snake and I actually this weekend coming up on the 11th and 12th are doing the KISS Expo in Indianapolis, and Paul's going to be there, and Snake and I are getting up. I don't know whether Paul's jamming or not, but Snake and I are getting up and doing a couple KISS songs with Eric Singer, and a whole bunch of people getting together and jamming. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know. So Gene's coming here Thursday, like I said, and then Peter Criss is going to be here in a few weeks for 2 days to sign records at a local record place here. Did you ever see the KISS monument that's up in Cadillac, Michigan?
Want to get there, but sat around late and it was about an hour and a half from where we were.
Okay.
I never got up there. I would love to. All of my friends that are in bands have a picture in front of it, except me.
Yeah, right. You know what's so funny about that is that I was supposed to go up there on the 50th anniversary back in October, and I had computer issues for my other job, and I couldn't get. I had to get it done, and I ended up getting too late, and I couldn't go and make it. But yeah, it's about 3 or 4 hour trip from my house, so I want to go up there someday. But
right on.
Yeah. Up to Cadillac, Michigan. Well, Rachel, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you around here sometime, hopefully in the future, with either your solo project or Skid Row or whatever. And good luck with Gargoyle from the Garden State.
You got it, man. Thanks, dude.
Gargoyle of the Garden State. I got to get all this.
Of the Garden State.
There you go.
Yeah.
This message comes from Capital One Commercial Bank. Your business requires commercial banking solutions that prioritize your long-term success. With Capital One, get a full suite of financial products and services tailored to meet your needs today and goals for tomorrow. Learn more at CapitalOne.com/commercial. Member FDIC. This message comes from Capital One Commercial Bank. Your business requires commercial banking solutions that prioritize your long-term success. With Capital One, get a full suite of financial products and services tailored to meet your needs today and goals for tomorrow. Learn more at CapitalOne.com/commercial. Member FDIC.
To wrap up this episode, it's Johnny Franck for the band Bilmuri. If you haven't heard or seen this band before, go see them on tour. I haven't, but I've heard they're awesome live. They got this kind of metalcore meets like country, meets pop. They're kind of all over the place. Their videos too. I actually talk about it with Johnny in this interview. Their videos are so low budget. Even if they're not low budget, they look low budget. We talk about that, the new record that's dropping, tour dates, that and much, much more with Johnny as we wrap up this episode of Talkin' Rock. Hey, first of all, before we really get started, man, I mean, you have to give it up to the Michigan Wolverines.
Why is that?
Well, they won the national championship. Come on, give it up for the Michigan Wolverines,
I can't do that, man. I'm so sorry. I would get disowned.
Did you grow up like a gigantic, Ohio State guy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no way to live in Columbus and not be just indoctrinated into it, man. So, yeah. Yes.
One of my friends went to Ohio State. He's a huge Ohio State fan. And then his wife went to University of Michigan and works there to this day. So it's like, that's kind of an interesting household. But I thought perhaps you'd want to, graciously share your congratulatory, to the people of Southeast Michigan here.
Yeah, I wish that I could. I really do. But I truly can't.
All right, fair enough. Seek to strive the optimal levels of dank riffage. I loved it. I wish I would have thought of that myself. Kinda Hard, releasing on April 10th. What is Kinda Hard?
It is exactly that. I think very much Bilmuri tries to have aggression to it and try to and stays heavy, but also, it's got a little bit of lightness to it. And Kinda Hard, I feel like, was the perfect descriptor of this record. So
okay, so you named it after everything was all finished?
Yes, it was literally a voice in my head that said it while I was walking my dog, and I chuckled.
And a lot of the stuff that you do is somewhat tongue in cheek. But do you normally name records after they are completed, or does something pop to you early on, or is it kind of just doesn't really matter?
Anything that's amusing. I mean, I love thinking of album titles, and anything like, whenever it happens, preferably earlier on in the process, but, sometimes it happens late, and Kinda Hard happened pretty late. So we were just like, I sent the name out to our whole crew and everybody loved it as much as I did. And so that's what we went with.
Wasn't there a movie? What was that movie my son wanted to watch with Get Hard? Yes, that's it. Yeah. So kind of similar to that. Yeah, that was a few years back. And I'm thinking, you're too young for this, but I think he's watched it many times since. So 13 tracks on this record. You produced it along with Jameson Roper. And so far, some of the tracks have been released, Hard to Tell. And Always Let You Down with Jeremy McKinnon from A Day to Remember. And that was co-written by Noah from Bad Omens as well. Talk about reaching out to some of these people and getting them to work on your project.
Well, man, it was crazy how it happened. I actually just ran into Jeremy in the gym. that day, and I'd never met him, even though we've known of each other for 20 years. And basically, he came over, we chatted for a sec, and he said, "Hey, if you ever want me to write some stuff for Bilmuri, let me know." I said, "What are you doing today?" He came through the studio, and then Noah happened to be in town too. And I texted him just to come hang out for like 10, 20 minutes. And, we were vibing on something. So he stuck around, and we wrote this song with Cody from Wage War. And, that amount of talent in the room, I was pretty confident we would get something good, but I'm really happy with how good this song turned out. So.
And then of course the video and all. Of course, I mean, obviously your videos are always entertaining. But Jeremy, did he have to come back for the video? Or how does this work? You got to go where he is?
Well, yeah. So we flew out to Orlando, and Will Carlson, our producer, just happened to be working with Day to Remember at that time, and so like the whole squad was able to get together. And obviously Orlando is a destination, so it was really easy to get everybody direct flights into there, and we all flew in for a day and ripped the music video, and thank God it worked out, because obviously there's a lot of moving parts, so I was super happy that it came out and turned out as good as it did.
Yeah, some of your videos, well, I should say all your videos are entertaining, and they look very low budget. Is that by design?
I mean, yeah, I've always felt like Bilmuri is a DIY, got that kind of do-it-yourself vibe. So even if the budget's high, I want to have some parts that feel just like homegrown and stuff, because that's very much who I am. So even though like the Always Let You Down music video looks unreal because we got great cameras, it's like still a backyard night fighting league in his buddy's backyard, and the whole story's got that kind of like homegrown DIY vibe to it.
Now, I grew up in an area kind of similar to where you are and stuff, and I can see that happening with all your buddies hanging around here, just throwing down. So it is reminiscent, I guess, of just people's childhood and growing up in the maybe in the sticks, a little bit outside the country.
Yeah, you get bored in the Midwest sometimes, man. You got to find stuff to occupy your time.
Yeah, and I guess fighting is doing that. Hey, so do you feel? I mean, obviously this record that's coming out, like I said, kind of hard. Do you feel like there's a bunch of growth in the band?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've grown as a songwriter and as a producer. I hope. I mean, the amount of work I put into this record is immense. And like I said, it's 13 songs long, and we probably wrote 250, 300 songs for this record and picked the best 13. So, I mean, you're really getting the cream of the crop here. And
what do you do with the other 217? Do you just,
the landfill, man. They're not worth listening to.
Really?
So, oh my God, there's such trash in there. Truly. There's a reason you're not hearing it. And yeah, it's because, I usually try to get down and write a song every day, and some of it is trash. Oh, most of it's trash. So, the ones that really stick with us and the ones that we love over a long period of time are the ones that we keep and present to the world.
Yeah, I'd imagine that if you're forcing yourself to write that, some of the stuff that comes out is going to probably sound forced, as opposed to, and I've never written a song, so you tell me if I'm wrong, as opposed to something that just kind of flows out and you kind of have this rattling around in your head or whatever.
Yeah, I call it hitting the fishing hole, man. Like sometimes you're going to throw your line in and get a tiny guppy, and then sometimes you're going to get a big bass, and it's like you gotta make sure that you're throwing your line in every single day, or else you never know what you're going to miss that day. So that's kind of the philosophy I take with music. And some days you write better hell, and then some days you write some crap. So like it just really depends, but you've always got to show up.
Now, I didn't know Cody from Wage War was on that track as well, or at least helped you with it. Is there any other collabs on this record that we haven't heard yet?
I mean, this record is very collaborative, and I was able to work with a lot of like my favorite, or some of my favorite artists, and then some of my favorite songwriters. So it was really cool. I wrote a song with Sasha Sloan, who's a like pop artist, and she's one of, my favorites. So that was very surreal to be like, hey, you're in the room here with us. And it's really fun to have like different mixtures of people too, man. So it's like I look over and you have pop songwriter Sasha Sloan, who writes like, for lots of pop artists herself, lots of K-pop stuff. And then I look over and it's Cody from Wage War, and we're all in a room together working on a song. So it's just, to me, I love getting like combinations of people in a room together that you maybe wouldn't think would work. And then it works really, really well.
Yeah. Who would you like to collab with if you could pick anybody?
Oh, I would love to collab with, like, as far as songwriting or as far as this artist. Man, I would love to do a collab with Sleep Token.
Oh, okay.
I would be curious as to what that would even sound like.
Yeah, that would be wild.
Probably, I would probably sound like shit, but who knows?
It would end up in the trash bin of your songwriting or whatever. Well, I know
no matter how trash it was, I feel like we have to put that song out.
Right, exactly. You'd have to, right? Well, I'll tell you what, man. Thanks for the time. I know you got a bunch of interviews today, kind of hard, coming out on April 10th, and you're going to be here in Detroit at the Fillmore on May the 3rd. So by then, I should expect you to have some sort of Wolverine attire to wear on stage that night in honor of the Michigan Wolverines, their national championship.
I will make sure to come out in scarlet and gray that day.
Always good talking to you, my friend. Safe travels. We'll
Likewise.
see you here on May 3rd.
I'll see you, man.
Thanks, brother. That dude's a good dude. I like him a lot. Hey, got to thank him. Got to thank Rachel Bolan. Got to thank Gene Simmons for the time as well. How cool is that? How cool that I get to talk to one of my childhood heroes. And more of that is coming up. I'm off next week, but I do have more childhood heroes coming up when I return the week of the 20th. So just a little heads up right there. Yeah, we're talking rock and roll legends. We're talking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members. Okay, so that's just the tease I'm going to give you. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to be down in Nashville, just living my best life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Talkin' Rock with Meltdown. You can help this podcast grow by giving it a 5-star rating and writing a review on Apple and iTunes. Plus, feel free to subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time, thanks for listening to Talkin' Rock.